What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. We got a special one for you guys today. Usually we do this on Wednesday nights. We're doing it on Monday night tonight. We're doing a $15 Drafters Million 3 Best Ball Championship draft. We're joined by John here, who drew the 101. I'm in the 105. John, how are we doing, man?
Doing good. I get the little CMC build to start, so looking forward to it.
Do you have any thoughts on taking CeeDee Lamb here, or is it CMC, no hesitation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty set in stone with CMC, but there's obviously great cases to be made for a couple other guys, but I don't know. It's hard to turn down the guy I think will be the RB1.
And I've just noticed over the last couple of weeks, I'm seeing a lot more people try different things at the 101, whether it's CeeDee Lamb, I've seen Tyreek, I've seen Jamar Chase, I've seen some funky things over the last few weeks. But you got to make sure you get your Christian McCaffrey exposure. I don't think you want to be a little light on CMC at all.
No, well, that's another point too. I mean, I don't have a lot of Lamb, but I seem to get a lot of ones and not so many 2 picks, but here we go.
Yep. So CMC 101 to John. We got Aiden in the chat. Good evening to you. We're all doing well. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. We got Harrison here as well. Buckle up. We're going to be hanging out here for the next 40, 45 minutes. I'm not sure what I want to do at 105. I try to take as much Jamar Chase as I can. Looks like I'm going to get Chase, and it looks like Amon-Ra is my build in this one. If I just look at ADP, Justin Jefferson is the 5th ADP, but I don't take a lot of Justin Jefferson at 5. I think I'm feeling more consistent with Amon-Ra, and I have just as much ceiling. So I'm going to go Amon-Ra here and make sure I rack in all those points. I love his connection with Jared Goff and that Lions offense, man. I want parts of that Lions offense, and we'll see if we can line up some more Detroit stuff going forward. So we'll take Amon-Ra at 105. I probably need to start mixing in some Justin Jefferson, though, to be honest with you. And then JSC has an interesting point here. I do get nervous about the touches and the wear and tear, and that there is some rumor, like I've seen some blurbs of Kyle Shanahan maybe wanting to limit his load a little bit this year. This team's thinking Super Bowl. If they don't have Christian McCaffrey, there's no way they could still go to the Super Bowl, but I think their chances of winning the Super Bowl go down dramatically without CMC. So it is something that I am concerned about, but I mean, he's just such a good player. So he is warranted, I think, with the 101 or the 102.
Yeah. There's cases for and against all the guys, right? In the top, I don't know how many guys qualify for the potential of 101. But I would imagine it might be from, in our draft here, from McCaffrey to Amon-Ra. Those are the guys I would consider.
I think it's CMC and Lamb in the 101 tier, and then I do think there's a bit of a drop off to the Tyreek, Chase, Amon-Ra, JJ tier. Yeah, it's tough. Those are the only 2 players that I've clicked on at the 101, so I kind of just leave it like that. But it is fun to line up those CMC stacks. Sometimes you get an Ayuk or a Debo to fall to you at that 2-3 turn. So it's a good build, and we'll see what I can do with my Amon-Ra build. There's a chance. Sometimes Jahmyr Gibbs falls really far, and there was one team that I got an Amon-Ra Jahmyr Gibbs team, and that was really cool. Very, very rare stack, but we'll see if we can line up Laporta and some things like that. But man, it feels like it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've just been off of work the last 4 or 5 days, so I'm out of the fast draft. I've just been doing a lot of slows, but nothing's really changing too much up top.
No, not really. And a little bit of variance, from 7 onwards. It seems like sometimes, but it's all the same guys that are being drafted right now. It's just maybe a little bit of a shuffle every other draft.
Yeah. Dude, I have so many Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle starts. It makes my stomach hurt. That's one of the – almost every time I get Amon-Ra, I'm looking at Jalen Waddle there. Cooper Kupp, man, we talked last week about him moving into the top 24. His ADP is 22.3. I like Ayuk. I like Mike Evans. I'm gonna stick into my Jalen Waddle ways. and see if I can get Achan or potentially Laporta back.
Nice.
I'll let you take it away here, and then it looks like we got a fun prompt from JSC we can talk about.
Yeah, I'm definitely going receiver here. I'm hoping somebody takes Neighbors and allows me to get 2 of Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, and Devonta Smith.
I did put Devonta as the thumbnail guy on the video today. I had to get him on one of the thumbnails here, so if it works, it works. And then there's always
Evans falling a little bit, but I guess maybe not according to his ADP.
There's always that weird chance that Hurts falls to you at the 4-5 turn too, and it makes it kind of interesting. But you get what you want.
You can always get what you want.
Do you have any? Have you mixed in DK Metcalf there at all, or is it clearly Evans, Smith, and?
I mean, I think if Evans was gone, I would have went Smith, Metcalf probably.
Okay.
This is the first time I've got Mike Evans at the end of the second. I mean,
It looks like him and Kupp kind of switch places here, ADP wise.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You got Debo up there at 18. That's a little bit higher.
I feel like Debo and Ayuk rose a little bit. Yeah. Kupp rose a little bit, and at the expense of Evans, excuse me.
So this is where I'm starting to see a lot of question marks in players. I do like DJ Moore though as my wide receiver 3. So that's what I'm going to click here. Kieran, Diggs, Pittman, like a lot of these guys have questions, but I feel pretty good about DJ Moore locked in as my wide receiver 3. St. Brown, Waddle, DJ Moore start sounds pretty nice to me. But JSC was saying who his number 1 players at each position are. He's going with Mahomes, Breece Hall, Amon-Ra, and Trey McBride. So just a quick question for John here. Who are your positional 1 players at each position?
I think I have CMC at receiver 1.
RB1.
Tyreek Hill, running back 1. Tyreek Hill at receiver 1. And Dalton Kincaid at my tight end 1. I think Dalton Kincaid's easily my biggest kind of reach there, if you will. But I can see a world. It's certainly I have these guys, all the people listed by JSC. I have ranked very, very high. So not that far away from number 1 at their position.
Well, I'm interested in the Mahomes call because this might be his best supporting cast around him. I mean, you're talking Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice when he's ready, Travis Kelce, Pacheco. That's a really good 5 group of players there. So I think that's an interesting call.
Yes.
I don't think Josh Allen's QB1 this year. I think my money's on Jalen Hurts being QB1. I'll go Bijan RB1. I'll go Lamb wide receiver 1, and then tight end 1. I'm going to go Travis Kelce. So I do think it's a 5-man race for tight end though. Honestly, it can go any way. Kelce, Laporta, Andrews, Kincaid, and McBride there. I can see all 5 of those guys hitting tight end 1 this year. So to me, I especially in a drafters contest where I think you want to crack at a top 5 player at each position, I usually settle for the 3rd, 4th, or 5th tight end off the board, and I try to cover it that way. But we did get a Jalen Hurts first QB off the board here at 39. That's higher than it usually goes, but he stacks him with A.J. Brown, so you got to do what you got to do.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And then it looks like Josh Allen standard 42. And then we have a little bit of a QB weight between Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. We could see a Lamar 101 season. His weapons are just as good, probably as best as he's had. But I'm up to pick here. I got Amon-Ra, Waddle, DJ Moore. I like Amari Cooper. I like McLaurin. Hollywood Brown intrigues me as well. But I'm gonna go with Terry McLaurin here as my wide receiver 4. I think we've uncovered his stats on the show here, where he's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and we had his quarterbacks pulled up there, like Heineke, Alex Smith, Sam. He does it with garbage QB. So I like grabbing 1,000 yards there. But you would take Cooper in a heartbeat. I know that. But I'll let you take it away here as you're approaching the 4-5 turn.
Yeah, no, I really do like Amari Cooper. And I think in any other year, Josh Allen is a great bet at QB1. It's just, I think this year it's more the talent around him versus, him as a player. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping to do like a Mahomes Hollywood stack here.
You got the Lamar Mark Andrews one too.
I've taken almost none of Mark Andrews in best ball.
So you get sniped on the Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do it. I'll do it. I haven't done it. I don't even think I have a $2 Mark Andrews, much less a $15. But
It's free, and I love getting a top 2-3 spot, 1-2-3 spot, because you get to think about that Lamar Mark Andrews stack a lot. You get to think about the Marquise and the Patrick Mahomes stack a lot. But Harris has a good question here. Would you draft 2 tight ends that high? It looks like Big Disco drafted Kelsey with Laporta there at the end of round 3-4 turn.
yeah, that's not something I would do, but I'm not afraid to take, to get a massive advantage at a position.
Well, you do get to flex them, so you're getting two cracks. So I don't know if this is a redraft move. I think it's a best ball play only.
Yeah,
You're getting 2 cracks at the tight end 1, and then you're going to plug in this tight end a lot as one of your flexes. There's going to be a lot of weeks where this is one of your top scoring players.
Yeah.
So I do think it's interesting. I don't know if I like it that high though. Like, give me, like, if I did Kincaid and Kyle Pitts, I kind of like the value of that a little better. Where if you take one chance at a top 5 tight end, and then you grab that, that Pitts, Njoku, Ferguson, you grab one of those second, third tier tight ends. I think that's probably more of my 2 tight end strategy that I would try.
Yeah.
But we're moving and grooving here. I did take Dalton Kincaid. I took your tight end 1 on the year here, and I don't need him stacked with Josh Allen. That doesn't bother me all that much. As I'm continuing to do these drafters here, like I want to get my stacks, but I'm not like super. Like, just because I don't have Josh Allen doesn't mean I'm not going to take Dalton Kincaid kind of, approach. So I'll continue to take the best players. I have a lot of Godwin and Jaden Reed. I want to make sure I got enough Kincaid in this lineup. But we're moving here into the 6th round, kind of on coast here. John's got the CMC, Mike Evans, Devonta Smith, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews start. So he's got a well-balanced start there. And then I got 4 wide receivers in Kincaid. So we're looking for running backs, and then we'll try and stack some QBs when we can. Trying to think here. So the 6th round is tricky this year. That's when we start to see running backs come off the board. We got an early Evan Ingram pull here at 65. Kyle Pitts is falling. I know you're big into Rachaad White. And then I really struggle whether it's Ladd, Worthy, Odunze. That's a tough rookie receiver tier for me.
Yeah. Same.
I'm kind of torn on Jordan Addison too. I don't know if I'm in love with the Vikings passing game this year. But I get a freebie here on Rachaad White, who is a really interesting RB1 that I can get this late. And I think that's kind of the auto pick for me here. So I'm gonna lock in Rachaad White, a guy that's got top 10 upside at the position. Honestly, he's probably got top 5 if it turns out that Bucky Irving's not any good. But I can easily tack on Bucky Irving late if I wish. But you take it away, 6-7 turn here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I'm pretty, like you said earlier, I'm balanced. So I'm kind of just looking for the best player available. I don't really love.
You got the interesting George Kittle, Mark Andrews opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that too much. I think I'll go 1.
I like Brian Thomas here.
And 2.
And JSN. Okay, I like both pools. You got someone that could be
considered. Yeah,
with BT.
I'm kind of hoping some of these running backs in this massive tier make it back to me.
But you got CMC. If you're going to win this sucker, CMC is your RB1.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's him plus, hero RB or whatever they call that, where you just take one stud and then basically 0 RB the rest of the way. That's kind of, it's not a terrible strategy with CMC, I don't think. He's older, but he just, I don't know, you make that investment in him at 101. You're just kind of, you're building your team around that 101.
So I'm going to take a chance here on Xavier Worthy, my wide receiver 5. I think he's good for best ball. And honestly, like, that's pretty good. He's usually a 6th-round pick, so I like grabbing him there. I was considering David Montgomery to continue adding Lions, but I don't know if I need Montgomery there. Montgomery's not really a favorite best ball pick of mine anyways, just because he doesn't get a lot of receiving work, and it's going to be very hard for him to get those 20, 25-point games. Those are more Jahmyr Gibbs stat lines, where Montgomery's like your perfect redraft RB2, where he just gets you 12 to 15 points every week. It's super consistent. But for best ball, I'm going to take the swing with Worthy here. And I don't know what else we got. So it's been a good week since we've done our last fast draft here. It looks like Ramondre Stevenson's racing towards the end of the 6th round. He's moving up boards quite a bit. Looks like Keon Coleman. Remember when Keon Coleman was an early 6th-round pick?
I was going to say you're probably really happy with his, or maybe not really happy, but you're starting to get happier with his ADP.
It's becoming more clickable, and I'm actually surprised the Josh Allen team didn't take him there at 79. He did grab George Kittle, but Coleman's interesting as it gets. I think Curtis Samuel will eventually hop Keon Coleman once we hit the training camp and we start to see some positive buzz around Curtis Samuel developing chemistry with Josh Allen. You also maybe see some things, not so good about Keon Coleman, maybe some mishaps and things like that. But it's interesting. We do enter the 8th round now, and we're looking for running backs. This is the running back alley that we've just been hammering it. It's one of our favorite pockets of the draft.
Yes.
Jones, DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Najee Harris, Zach Moss, Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Brooks, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears. It just keeps going.
All of your above average RB1s are here.
Good players. And honestly, I feel like this pocket of the draft board, it's going to make or break everyone's season, whether it's redraft, best ball, dynasty, it doesn't matter. This is where the value is at for running back. And you're going to have one of these guys will probably be a top 10, top 12 running back. And you got to make sure you have a lot of cracks at this range of running backs.
I mean, the way running back injuries go, I think you're looking at 50% of the top 10 could come from this round 7, 8 range.
And I was hoping I'd get a little James Conner to fall to me. He's one of my favorite clicks right now because I think people don't realize how good he was last year, and he continues to be a very good player this late. If James Conner stays healthy and plays 15, 16 games, it's going to be a good time. I get the Curtis Samuel to fall to me, which is probably one of my favorite clicks this late, but I'm going to pass. I need an RB2 here. I'm looking at Najee Harris, man, and I'm just thinking the Steelers offense is just going to run the ball, I think, really, really well this year. And I know a lot of people don't like the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, but the dude had a really strong running game with Bijan and Tyler Algier, and it was behind a junk quarterback. And I think Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, whatever the splits are going to be for the games that they play, those guys are capable quarterbacks that can really benefit the running backs, both Warren and Najee. So I've been clicking a lot of Najee lately, but you're up to pick here at the turn. Do you like what you see?
Oh, yeah. Lots of trash. I'm going to go. And let's see. All right. I got a running back room now all of a sudden.
Is this your first Zach Moss pull?
It might be my first Zach Moss in 15. I was really hoping Jonathan Brooks would fall, but I like that. I was between my first Zach Moss and my first Raheem Mostert, and I decided Moss is much younger and just a little less injury history. We kind of running backs dried up a little bit here. I could take a pull on. They dried up really fast. Yep.
Take a pull on Tony Pollard. I could grab a Jaden Daniels here with my Terry McLaurin. I could grab Caleb Williams. I'm going to punt a little bit here, and I'm going to collect Tony Pollard. I need running backs. JSC did comment Jalen Warren over Najee Harris. I'm all on the Jalen Warren train. He is my most drafted player by a lot, and I'm just at that point of the summer where I got to kind of balance out my Najee Harris because I think they're gonna give Najee his 16 to 20 touches per game. They're gonna design 10 to 12 runs for Warren and a bunch of passes for both guys. And if anything happens, if Warren gets hurt, Najee Harris is gonna be a beast. If Najee Harris gets hurt, Jalen Warren's gonna be a beast. So it almost doesn't matter any draft for me. I'm looking for a Steelers running back in round 8. I'll take them.
Yeah, we're big Jalen Warren people. I'm also he's got to be one of the players I have the most exposure to as well.
Well, I mean, I keep going back to the Atlanta offense where Tyler Algier was pissing off a lot of Bijan Robinson owners last year. I think there's going to be a lot of weeks where you don't know who the guy is going to be that gets the most touches, but it could be a hot hand approach kind of thing. I do like the angle of, hey, a new offensive coordinator, maybe he'll play the best player more often than not. And I do think the best player is Jalen Warren. But just all of these running backs are so fun to click in this round. I mean, if you're looking at receivers here, you're starting to get to number 2, 3 targets on the team. I do think the tight end value is probably done now with Njoku gone. And, we still like our shots on Schultz, Freiermuth, and some of the other guys down here. But we're getting to what I think this is quarterback. Once it shifts to the running backs in the rounds 8, 9, and 10 range, I think there's tremendous value on these quarterbacks coming up here around 10, 11, 12. That's, to me, the juiciest position. Like all these guys, like Caleb, Brock, Trevor, Goff, Tua. This is a great tier to be pulling from. And then there's a few receivers that I like here, but I think there's quite a bit of a drop-off coming at the receiver position. So I have 5, you have 4. We're going to just be pulling a few guys, every now and then from here on out. But I'm almost up to pick here. As I just filtered by ADP, it's telling me Rashid Shaheed is a good value here, a few picks past ADP. I could grab Caleb Williams and smack him with my DJ Moore build. Like Gorham, Trevor Lawrence, Jerry Jeudy, Austin. I like Austin Eckler this late too for a running back pull, but the room's kind of giving me Rashid Shaheed value, so I'm gonna collect that. I mentioned the wide receiver tier fall off is coming, so I'll just stack my receivers a little bit. And John, take it away. Pick 120 and 121 here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just kind of build out my receiver room a little bit. Not exactly in love with this person, but he's just been so productive over time. And another receiver to give me a little depth. So I just took my 2 favorite receivers. I've got a lot of Josh Downs, who I really, really like. We've talked about him in the past. I think you're somewhat higher on him as well at this point in the draft. I think Jacoby Myers might be someone I don't have any of, but I don't know. He's good value at this point, I think.
Well, it's that receiver tier coming very, very the fall off is it's Mike Williams. These are your best receivers available, so it is a pretty big fall off. Probably not going to like them when you come back, so you kind of
exactly. Very true.
Pull some when you need to. But Josh Downs is a very good slot player. I like him a lot. He could be a popular target for Anthony Richardson, and who knows, Michael Pittman. If he goes down, Josh Downs is going to be the leading receiver. A.D. Mitchell might be, but I think Josh Downs will lead the team in targets. So
Pittman is already injured. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to impact him in the beginning of the season. But
JSC has an interesting thought here. What are your thoughts on having a squad with players 25 and younger versus 26 and older? I think 26 and older, I could probably make a decent squad with a bunch of 26, 27, 28, 29-year-olds. But to get the upside of those guys 25 and younger, that'd be an interesting case study. I don't know. Who would your quarterback be under 25, John? Purdy, Caleb, CJ Stroud?
Is Jordan Love under 25?
I think he's right at the age.
Trevor Lawrence, maybe. Caleb. Yeah, you already mentioned Caleb, Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud,
Trevor
Richardson.
Maybe. So there's an interesting group of quarterbacks.
You got a lot of options. Maybe even Burrow, but maybe not Burrow anymore.
Running backs, you're going after Brees or Bijan.
Of course.
One. Receivers, I think you can still get
A-Chain and Kieran as well, I think. Both qualify. And Pacheco and Etienne qualify. And Rashad. I mean, running back is your full, running back. It's almost unfair because of the running back position to try to build a team 26 and older. You can fill out every position, but running back, unless you get like the number one and you can get CMC, you're going to be in a tough build.
I think you can go CeeDee Lamb with the 101, but I think it would be tough tight end. You're either going Laporta, McBride. I guess Laporta, McBride, or I guess Bowers or Ferguson maybe would be the next group down. But I think I don't know. I don't know which team would be better. I think there's cases for both sides here. You're going to probably not like your running backs as much with a 25 or younger, versus a 25 or younger running back group. So I think the running backs favor 25 and younger, but you might like get some really nice builds with QBs, receivers, and tight ends with the older than in 26.
I think QBs and tight ends are especially rich. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know exactly how old. There's a lot of guys who right on that who I think are on the edge, and I'm not sure which way they lean. So
we're getting to a point in the draft where everybody's kind of got their foundations built here, and you're going to start to see some rookies and some guys that are a little bit lower on the depth charts, but could be sleepers and things like that. But man, I still can't believe some of the values on the board here at the QB position. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers here. But I like the running backs coming up here. Charbonnet, Lloyd, Ty Chandler. Those guys are all interesting bets here. They're going to give me Tua here, who I can stack with my Jalen Waddle. He's going to be my QB2 behind Jared Goff. So this is kind of what I was talking about. Like I love the QB range here from about Purdy all the way down to Tua. You could maybe group in Kirk Cousins in that. But, man, like I'm getting Goff and Tua as my top two QBs in the 11th, 12th round. I like that value a lot. And you
stacked, in round 1 and 2, you took a Lion receiver and a Dolphin receiver, and then followed that up, basically mirrored that with QBs in 11 and 12. Your first two QBs. That's kind of masterful.
Yeah, it feels
roster
good.
Building.
But you got 2 picks here. What do we like on the board?
Yeah, well, the receivers all dried up. I think I'm going to go with I'm between Musgrave and Taysom Hill for my first pick. I probably have more Musgrave. We're big Taysom Hill people around these parts. And then I'm going to get a little running back lotto ticket.
Vidal is one of those players that I think once we get to training camp and we start getting some notes on the Chargers camp, that he's a guy that could – if he shoots up to round 10, I'm not going to be surprised. So I do think, today and the next few weeks before we get to training camp, you probably should click on a little bit of Vidal going forward. I also like Ty Chandler quite a bit there as well as the potential a guy that, if Aaron Jones gets hurt, you could be looking at a nice player for you.
That's true. And Aaron Jones is often injured.
Right. I'm on the board here. I don't love the running backs right now. I don't want to reach on anybody. I think Musgrave's the value at tight end 2 for me. So I'll just collect a naked Luke Musgrave here as my tight end 2. But we're doing pretty well, I think, with this. We'll just kind of recap John's draft real quick. And I want to say, hey, we got a bunch of people watching on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you are new. And, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Monday evening. But John, building a nice Lamar Jackson squad right now. He's got Lamar. Running backs are CMC, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson, and Kamani Vidal. Receivers are looking solid with Mike Evans, Devonta Smith. And then we got some upside players here. Brian Thomas, Jackson Smith, and the Jigba. Dependable Jacoby Myers. And then maybe something we can get, if we get a bunch of targets and some fun slot reps here out of Josh Downs, he could be a surprising player. And then you got Mark Andrews and Taysom Hill. So this is looking really well balanced. I'm not sure if, there's probably not too many Ravens left for you, but there's a couple guys left. But we'll see if you can kind of sew up.
I don't mind a naked Lamar Jackson. He's pretty.
You got Mark. You got the Mark.
Andrews, of course.
That's a pretty big hammer stack there. But there's a few guys that I like that you can tack on to the end of that stack. And then for me, I got Jared Goff and Tua. I could probably add a third QB if I want. I do feel comfortable with just those 2 guys. If that's all I need, that's fine. I need more running backs, though. Rashad White, Najee, and Tony Pollard are my guys for now. Receivers, I feel pretty strong with Amon-Ra, Waddle, DJ Moore, Terry. And then I got some upside best ball-y type players with Worthy, Rashid Shaheed. Dalton Kincaid is my tight end 1. Luke Musgrave, my tight end 2. And I keep getting, whenever we do a draft, I keep doing that thing where I do the early tight end, the mid tight end, and then I'll pull a late tight end. That's kind of how I operate it. But I don't know, man. We're moving into the 14th round. What sort of things are we looking for this late?
Yeah, I mean, I need to fill in just depth, right? I think for most people, you're just kind of filling in the cracks. I could probably use another quarterback. I definitely could use another quarterback. And I feel a little, despite CMC, I feel a little thin outside of that at running back. So probably going to take another lottery pick or maybe try to get Elijah Mitchell here.
There's there's a tier coming up of the running back. I like this final tier of the running backs in like rounds 14 through 16. So there's some good pulls here for you to pad your depth. And then I've noticed, if you look at round 13, I'm seeing guys like Demario Douglas move up. I'm seeing Wan'Dale Robinson move up and Chuba Hubbard. So those are some guys that are starting to move and shake. And that's where a lot of the movement happens, is in these later, 13 through round 18. That's where you get a lot of movement in these players. So I just, 3 weeks away from training camp, I want to see a lot of things shifting and changing soon. But I'm on the board here. Jaleel McLaughlin tumbling about 11 picks past ADP. That might be now the time. Now might be the time to start pulling shares of him. Matthew Stafford, I don't have a stack. Thielen, Hawkinson. I do like Algier this late. I think he's an interesting player, but I'm going to collect the ADP drop on Jaleel McLaughlin and just collect a Denver piece here, because I like the Denver backfield quite a bit. But John's up here around 14 and 15. Let's see what do you got for us?
Yeah, definitely will take Stafford if he falls, but I don't expect it. But it's one away now.
And you do get the potential to do a stack real quick there if you wish.
Yeah, I'm not a big person. I'm not super aware of Marcus Robinson. And I'm not really looking to stack either. I need to. Who do you think is less likely to fall? Elijah Mitchell with an ADP of 183 or Isaiah Likely with an ADP of 183? I want both of them, but
both aren't coming back. I would probably lean into the running back, because if CMC goes down, you at least have a chance with this team still. You have Mark Andrews and Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
And if Likely's probably not getting past me at 188 if he's there, but we'll figure that out. I was fishing.
No, that's fair. They're both their ADP. They should be gone at the turn here.
I was fishing for Bucky Irving to come back to me so I can get Rashad White and Bucky Irving, but that didn't materialize. So a little bit upset there. But dude, I'm actually pretty interested in Demarcus Robinson. I think he's entering camp as the wide receiver 3 on this team. Last year he hopped Tutu Atwell in, kind of like week 10, 11, 12 range, and he held on to the job, and he was actually a pretty good weapon for them. He had some nice numbers down the stretch here. Real quick. And I know projecting off last year's numbers is not a great thing to do, but 15, 13, 14, 20, 13, a good little run to end the season. He didn't do much in the playoffs, but I think there's,
Who is that?
That's Demarcus Robinson.
Nice. Yeah, that's
receiver 3 for the Rams. And there goes Likely at 174. So I'm seeing him start.
He had no chance. That's
his ADP is so hard to guess where it's going to go. It's kind of all over the board. I know it says 184, but I see him go, 10 picks ahead almost every time now. So he's kind of slippery. But we're starting to get to some late round tight ends. I think Likely is the guy that I want as my tight end 3 in almost every draft, because I think he has standalone value this year. You're going to see a little bit more emphasis on 2 tight end stuff in Baltimore. And man, if anything happens to Mark Andrews, like, we're probably ranking Isaiah Likely as like a top 5 almost tight end for that given week. So he has, and I don't think he's a handcuff per se. I think he's going to have some games where he pops off. But man, if say Mark Andrews wasn't on the team and Isaiah Likely was the starting tight end for the whole season, he could be tight end 1. Like, I think he's that good, and he had some really nice moments last year. So, but we're moving here. I wanted Jonnu Smith to fall to continue to build out a Miami Dolphins thing, but at this point, it's hard to stack. You could do some backdoor things, but we're looking at a bunch of kind of junk at receiver here. Roman Wilson, Malachi Corley, Jalen McMillan, Devontae Walker, a lot of rookie receivers here. I'm glad I got my 7. The tight ends are starting to burn thin here too. Chig, Jelani, Juwan Johnson, Mike Gesicki. Running backs, there's still a little bit of juice here at the RB position. And then QB3s, whether it's Geno, Bryce, Carr, Daniel Jones, like there's a lot of QB3s left on the board here, so I'm not going to force that. But I don't know. I don't take a lot of J.K. Dobbins, man. I just don't. I don't want to draft a guy that's had multiple knee injuries and is coming off an Achilles injury now. That doesn't. He could easily get cut by the Chargers. I think in Q2 doesn't have any money going to him, so that concerns me. What if Geno Smith is good in this new offense? I think Seattle's an interesting team to consider, but I'm gonna reach a little bit here on my RB5, and I'm gonna pair him with the last running back I took, Julian McLaughlin. I'm taking Audric Estime, who I read some quotes today. Sean Payton saying that Estime could be their first and second down power back this year. So I think taking shots on Broncos RBs is worth it. And who knows, between McLaughlin and Estime, if anything happens to Javonte Williams, I'm looking good on points there. But what do you got here around 16, 17 turn?
Yeah. All these QBs are staring me in the face.
You got a rookie receiver you could stack. A little Devontae Walker action. And the Geno value is pretty good, I think, this late. Even if he only plays 13, 14 games, you know, he's got some upside there.
Is Devontae Walker interesting?
He is, and he's a guy that I need to start clicking on more. He was a very interesting player at UNC, and he's got, you know, outside receiver skills. And he could, you know, if Rashad Bateman's not good, he could eventually push his way into the wide receiver 2 position. I do need to start drafting more of him because I think right now he's probably the wide receiver 4. It goes Zay, Bateman, and then probably Nelson Aguilar as the 3. So he doesn't have that much room to go up. He's wide receiver 4, but, you know, an injury to Bateman or Aguilar, or if he's just making a lot of plays, he could move into the top 3 receivers.
Yeah.
But
he needs help. He needs help.
We all need help. I take a lot of Bryce Young. I do think Jalen McMillan's interesting for Tampa Bay. He's a fun upside rookie receiver. Give me Derek. I love Derek Carr. I get him stacked with Rashid Shaheed. So in theory, if there's a big Rashid Shaheed game, Derek Carr correlates perfectly with him. So I'll grab Derek Carr there as my QB3, and I'm good at the QB position. I got Goff, Tua, Carr. You're done at the QB position with your guys, and I just need a couple. Looks like I need a tight end and maybe a couple receivers left to end this here. But as we get closer to the end here, what are do we want to call out some of our favorite clicks or things that we're seeing here? I do like a lot of these quarterbacks available still here as QB3s. So there's a lot of value in those positions, but like the running backs, pretty dried up right now. You could take a chance on Orlando here if you want another San Fran back, but it's pretty dusty for the running backs down here, man.
It is. There's a chance I do go for Gariendo and just kind of try to collect as much of that backfield as I can. It's, you're in the dead zone for every position besides a couple QB3s. So
I'm intrigued with Will Shipley. I think there's a chance that he could be better than Kenneth Gainwell. And then the RB2 spot I think is interesting for the Raiders because I think Dylan Lobby's a pretty good receiving back. I don't know if he can pass block up to a pretty good level as a rookie, but Alexander Madison can, and he has shown the ability to catch a lot of receiving touchdowns and things like that. And I don't think Zamir White has that receiving upside in his profile. So one of those guys has a chance to be, the third down receiving back for the Raiders. So I'm kind of interested there. There's a chance Keaton Mitchell comes back quicker from his ACL injury. Trey Sermon is, to me, it seems like he's pretty locked in as JT's backup at the RB2 spot. So I think he's interesting. You got Justice Hill, Kenneth Gainwell, Rasheen Ali, the rookie for Baltimore. It's pretty dried up. But
McMillan at 207 is pretty good value as far
great
as
value,
you're gonna get down here.
I
was thinking about him in my most recent pick.
Yeah, and I have clicked him a fair share, but I'm on the board here. You got Jalen Tolbert, Alan Lazard falling. There's the Will Shipley that I mentioned. I wouldn't mind clicking on him. I could take a chance on A.T. Perry, who I'm not like super excited about. These tight ends are looking pretty gross. I think Woods is interesting as a deep sleeper, but man, oh man, I'm just gonna clap. I'm gonna Khalif Raymond, give him to me. Put him on the Detroit Lions stack. I'm not a huge Khalif Raymond fan, but I think he could be their wide receiver 3. Or it could be Donovan Peoples-Jones as well, who I might be looking at some point. But John, round 18, 19, man, take us through these disgusting rounds here. What are we looking for?
Yeah, I'm just trying to fill one running back, one receiver, one tight end. So I do like Tolbert. I do, for this point in the draft. You've been saying a lot of nice things about Shipley. So those are guys I'm kind of considering. I'm also thinking about Guriando. Okay.
I've noticed Jalen Tolbert. I mean, he was a top 200 pick for the longest time, and now people are nervous that he can't be the wide receiver 3. There's going to be competition in training camp for that spot, so that's definitely one to keep an eye on. You grab Hayden.
I'm going to go really heavy into the San Francisco backfield, and that's going to be my running back room.
Well, in games where they're blowing people out, man, you might get a chance for Guriando. Was he not the fastest running back in the draft? I believe he was. I can't remember, but the dude run fast.
They're just so running back heavy. They're so run forward, and they establish the run. That's a big part of their identity, and I think. I've got a chance to survive a McCaffrey injury, which, typically is a death blow. But, and B, like you say, blowout situations, which they have many of them.
So I did hear a pretty interesting comp for Guriando, and that was Raheem Mostert, which I thought was pretty cool.
Who was a San Francisco guy originally?
Correct, yeah, and I think it was the running back coach that said that. He said Raheem Mostert's probably got a little bit more straight line speed, but Guriando is probably just as fast as of a running back that he's seen with his first few cuts. So Guriando, man, if we see him in training camp and he's making some plays, he's going to be a preseason player because he's playing to get on the team. So preseason could send him up a round or two, and basically just with Elijah Mitchell, doing what he does and missing games and things like that. There could be an opportunity where Guriando moves to RB2 on the depth chart based on injuries and needs and things like that. But man, I keep drafting Zach Ertz. I can't stop drafting him round 19, round 20. And I pushed him up my board in this one a little bit. I usually collect him round 20, but I keep coming back to reading the things about the Commanders tight ends. And Ben Sinnott he's Kyle Juszczyk for this team. So
yeah,
I think Zach Ertz, man, and the camp report even said that he was looking much more loose than one would have thought. So I think you could get a little renaissance Zach Ertz season where he's not a top 10 tight end, but he's going to have some games and some plays that you're like, oh damn, Zach Ertz still got it. So I'll take a chance there. But as we get into round 20 here, you're probably not going to win your league with this pick here. I don't think there's a Kieran Williams, Puka Nacua type this late here, but I do think
you didn't know about Kieran Williams and Puka Nacua last year, though. You gotta get the lottery ticket.
So unfortunately, I mixed in a little bit of Kieran and Puka, but not near. We're talking 2-3% of those players. So those teams did very well though. If you got them. But I'm gonna be filling out my Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Khalif Raymond stack here, and I'm gonna take a gamble. I don't know who the wide receiver 3 is. Dude, I thought Donovan Peoples-Jones was a really good receiver in Cleveland for a couple seasons there, and then he goes to Detroit last year, and just nothing really happened. But this is his first full offseason with the team, and Josh Reynolds gone as wide receiver 3. The job's completely up for grabs. So whether it's Khalif Raymond or DPJ, I'll take a chance and see if I can snag one of those guys making some plays. But you get Mr. Irrelevant here. Who are you sending us off with?
Yeah, I'm looking at either Brendan Rice or Calvin Austin. So, then to take a receiver. I kind of like Elijah Moore, but I don't know.
There's really nobody. Did Tutu Atwell go?
He's still available.
You could throw in a little Tutu. You could throw in. Did Nelson Aguilar go?
I think I'm going to go with my with an attempt at a Puka, and I'm going to take Brendan Rice.
Okay. Alrighty. I'll pull up your team here, and you tell us how this team wins the 500K.
Well, I think Lamar Jackson and Matt Stafford have a great chance to, finish as top 10 quarterbacks. Lamar's always got a chance at number one. If those two things happen and those guys stay healthy, that would be huge. Pretty much can lock in a top 10 performance at worst every week. You feel like in that scenario, which is, I think, one of the conditions that would make this team a winner. McCaffrey has to finish as RB, top 3 minimum, but it would be painful if he didn't finish RB1. But you could maybe survive it if the entire San Francisco backfield is still productive. And maybe I get a random game from Mitchell and a random game from Garendo and whatever. Moss, Brian Robinson need to be both very useful. Really can't. If one of those goes down, then the other one is kind of my RB2 tire alone. So I just need really good things from the running back room and people to really pull their weight. And Moss and Robinson aren't guys who have necessarily totally done that over the course of a full season. I mean, you can make an argument that they both have, but I need them to be the best versions of themselves for this team to be a winner. The receiving room I actually feel pretty good about. I feel like Mike Evans, Devonta Smith, Brian Thomas, Josh Downs, those guys all have, a little bit of like, and maybe even JSN to a degree. They all have some kind of kaboom potential. They have, really, really fun best ball guys. Got a couple rookies at the end of the draft and Jacoby Myers, who I assume is kind of a consistent player, but I know that Raiders offense is going to be weird this year. But I could definitely use a random, 4 or 5 starts from Jacoby Myers would probably be very helpful if they were actually, useful games. And then no injury to Mark Andrews, and that's pretty much my recipe. Need the receivers to be kabooming, need CMC to roll, need good health across positions, and Lamar and Mark Andrews kind of to finish top 3 at their positions would be huge.
Did you mean to sprinkle in a little Charger thing at the end here? You got Vidal, you got Rice, you got Hurst.
Not necessarily, but one thing you'll notice is there are the Commanders, the Chargers, the Giants. There are a lot of teams fit this bill, but there's certain teams that there's just all their players are being drafted in the back half of the draft, or maybe you have 1 or 2 skill position guys that goes a little earlier, but I just. Tight end got really dry there really fast. I was actually hoping for like a Gesicki type. So I had to reach down further on the board for Hurst. I don't have any Brendan Rice, just kind of looking for, random useful player or maybe the next Puka. Mm-hmm. Neither of those are likely in the last pick. Vidal, I'm of all the, and certainly by where I drafted him, it's pretty obvious, but Vidal is the guy I'm the highest on of that group. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers, though. It's a whole new thing. Really, most of it was just kind of filling out some depth. But Kamani Vidal, I of all those guys, he's the one I need to actually give me a couple weeks.
If Vidal is good, your team's going to be in good shape here. I do think Motson beat.
Yes, I would agree. If Kamani Vidal is randomly the starter there, that my team, or like a Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, he's one of those two, key contributors. My team would be in even better shape.
The other thing I like is you have a top 5 threat at each position. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, CMC, Mark Andrews, and then maybe Mike Evans isn't a top 5 receiver, but he's probably top 10, top 12. And then I actually think Devonta Smith, one of these years we could see him kind of go nuts. I don't know if you have a top 5 receiver, but you got 2 top 10 potential receivers, so that feels pretty good. And you kind of, I don't know, it's well balanced, and I think it's sturdy.
Thank you. What about you?
Alrighty, so from the 105, we are rocking late round QB here: Jared Goff, Tua, Derek Carr. I think this is a pretty solid value group, and what I'm excited about is I got Goff right at ADP, I got Tua 8 picks past ADP, and I got Derek Carr about 4 picks past ADP. So I didn't overpay for my QBs. I let them come to me, and I got them stacked with receivers and weapons later. So that feels like a pretty good group to me. I don't think I have a top 5 QB by season's end, but I think I have a chance at a top 5 QB every week, whether it's Goff or Tua. Maybe Derek Carr gets funky one game or two. So I think I'm probably rocking a top 8 to 10 QB by season's end, but I think there's a chance for me to get some spike weeks there. My running backs are a little light. I only drafted 5 of them, but Rashad White, if this team's going to win the 500K, Rashad White's a top 5 running back. Najee Harris is a top 15 running back and runs in 12 touchdowns and throws 13 touchdowns. I'm just kidding. But Najee Harris could be a guy that just runs a lot of touchdowns. Not a sexy player by any means, but new offensive system. Maybe there's a little bit more focal point with him getting the ball near the goal line. Tony Pollard, I don't know what to think about Tony Pollard anymore. He was injured last year. His numbers look better down the stretch. I also think that, a new change of scenery for him. I'm kind of bullish on the Titans as a whole. I think the offense there could be exciting. So I don't hate Tony Pollard. I'll trade off Najee and Pollard as my RB2. And then just a lottery pick here on Broncos running backs, because if Javonte Williams is just not that good anymore, coming off his ACL injury, he should be better. But Sean Payton keeps talking up Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, pretty much everyone but Javonte Williams he keeps talking about. So I'll take a chance there, see if one of those guys can do it. The room is light, but man, if Rashad White is still a top 5, top 10 running back in fantasy, I think Harris, Pollard can hold down RB2, and then maybe some sprinkles of Broncos players later. The meat of my team is receiver. Amon-Ra, Waddle, DJ Moore, Terry. I love that top 4. I think that's pretty sturdy. And then I got some best ball upside plays with Worthy, Rashid Shaheed. Demarcus Robinson's a big play for the Rams. And then just 2 lines here at the end, Khalif Raymond and Donovan Peoples-Jones. My bet is Jameson Williams is not that good, not that consistent. Maybe Khalif Raymond and Donovan Peoples-Jones play more than we think. So receiver feels pretty good. I got a stack, I got Amon-Ra and 2 other lines receivers with Goff, Waddle, Tua, Rashid Shaheed, Derek Carr, and then tight end. I keep doing it. Early tight end, mid-round tight end, and late-round tight end. I think it's my recipe that I like the most. I get a top 5 option with Kincaid. I got a top 12 option with Luke Musgrave, and then I take a deep shot punt, old deep cut here with Zach Ertz, maybe catching a few touchdowns from the rookie Jaden Daniels. So kind of fun. Sturdy. Don't know if it's going to win it. I think for me to win it, I need Amon-Ra to be wide receiver 1. That's probably how this one does it.
Or maybe Amon-Ra and Waddle to both finish top 5.
Well, if Amon-Ra wide receiver 1 and Tyreek Hill blows a tire, look out. That could be the recipe, but that was fun.
I like DJ Moore as your third receiver is something I've done a lot as well, and I think that's a massive position of strength. I think very shortly after that, after DJ Moore goes off the board, the receiver 1s, the true fantasy receiver 1 caliber guys are sort of mostly gone. So
Zay Flowers, Diggs, kind of.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like DJ Moore so much better than them personally. Yeah. But yes, there's quite a few guys. There's all sorts of guys down the list that could be really good.
And I think the key phrase that we've mentioned a couple times on the show is positional value. DJ Morris, my wide receiver 3, feels kind of like cheating. He should be your wide receiver 2, but you get him as your 3. That's where it looks really good. But hey, this was fun. Any final thoughts for the good people? We'll get out of here in a little bit.
No, we had a good one today. Happy birthday to you, Kyle, if I didn't say that earlier on the pod. And yeah, good luck to everybody out there.
All right. I don't know if we won the 500K. No, maybe not this episode, but next episode. And I don't know. Yes or no? Are we doing a Wednesday night stream since we covered it tonight? We'll see how we're feeling.
If the people demand it.
Okay. All right. Blow up the comments, blow up the likes, subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on a Monday evening. Yeah, we just appreciate you guys. So thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.